Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, Season 1, Episode 8. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Marvel Plus, the podcast devoted to all things MCU. My name is Brett Scott. I am your host, and this is the show. And today's going to be another solo episode with yours truly. I'd love to have a guest, but I'll tell you what, I actually apologize for having this episode out so late because I watched the episode a few days ago on Wednesday or Thursday, and I hope to put them out, the reviews out, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Well, it's now Monday and President's Day, and I got sick. I got sick over the weekend, and I was down for the count, and just wasn't having. I spent most of the weekend laying on the couch. I did make it out to see Captain America: Brave New World. Enjoyed it very much. I will give a much more in-depth discussion and analysis during our upcoming live event at Fan Expo Cleveland later next month. I'm really excited for that. I may do some sort of discussion or breakdown that's a little smaller in scope before that, maybe on my YouTube channel, Daily BS, if you want to check that out. But that would be just like a 5-minute rundown, general thoughts on it, probably no spoilers. But if you want to go full spoilers and full speed ahead on it, don't forget to check out the live event. If you can't be there in person, it will be streaming live in many places, including the Marvel Plus Facebook group. Come check that out, Marvel Plus Podcast on Facebook. I also stream it out on my YouTube channel, as I mentioned before, Daily BS. And where else? I don't know. My Twitter feed, maybe. Twitter, X feed. But it's definitely in a lot of places. And then if you can't catch any of them live, it will eventually end up on this podcast feed as well as a normal episode. But if you want to hear my Captain America Brave New World thoughts and those thoughts of whatever guest I happen to bring to Cleveland, stay tuned for that. That is upcoming. In the meantime, we are talking about Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which continues to impress me week after week. It was going to be hard to top episode 5 and 6. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 6 and 7. It was going to be really hard to top 6 and 7. Those were killer episodes. 6 brought it with Daredevil's appearance, and then 7, the action and violence in it. It's So, I'll say right up front, this episode didn't do what those did for me, but still, super solid. Moved the story along, kept me excited for next week, which is in 2 days now. But, even with dropping a few episodes at a time, this is still making me want to see what's next, anticipating the week ahead. So this show is definitely doing its job. I'm loving every minute of it. And it was just the surprise hit so far of this year. But hey, it was the first thing out this year. So who knows what's going to surprise me later on this year. I'm very much looking forward to, in a couple of weeks, we get Daredevil Born Again. I'm sure you're all looking forward to that. But who knows? Who knows if the Wakanda series is going to blow me away? Maybe Ironheart is a surprise for me as well. Because I didn't expect much of this, and I've talked about it in several episodes before. I didn't expect much from Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and it has impressed me thoroughly from beginning to, 3/4 of the way through here. 2 more episodes to go. I can't wait. But let's jump into this episode 7. 8. Episode 8. All right, so as we know, episode 7 left off with a battered and bruised Pete saved by Norman and his glider that was the first appearance of the Green Goblin glider, or what will become that. And yeah, Peter got his ass whooped by Scorpion in the last episode. Just completely mopped the floor with him, and he's questioning everything about himself in this episode. But we start out, Peter's in a hospital, not the hospital. It looks like he's back at Oscorp, and they're taking care of him there. He's in and out of consciousness, and he sees doctors and scientists like taking his blood. We also see animals being brought into into Oscorp, and it's like, what are they doing with Peter's blood? What are they trying to do with these animals? It's like, I see like villains being created as these animals are being shuffled in to Oscorp. But yeah, I'm sure that will play out. We'll probably get some sort of glimpse of that in the final episode, just as a teaser for next season. Hopefully there is one. While in recovery, Norman says he needs Spider-Man to reach a higher level, right? And that their relationship might need to end if he can't do that. Basically, it feels like he's saying, like, you need to be ruthless. You need to be able to take people out. You need to be able to kill people. That's how I took it. He needs to be able to kill. And if he can't cross that threshold, if he can't stop holding back, Norman has no use for him. I'm like, damn, dude. Like, Norman wouldn't have shit if it wasn't for Peter, really, in terms of this superhero thing. We know that eventually Norman's going to create something for himself to be able to do this. But, Pete's what got him in this superhero game. And now he's like, I don't need you. I don't know. It just definitely feels messed up. But, that's Norman Osborn. What are you going to do? Of course, that's what he's saying. Like I said, Peter is really questioning his abilities, his purpose, everything in this episode. He's suffering from nightmares, and he's worried he'll never be strong enough to do the things he needs to do, right? And protect the people that he loves. And with Norman saying the things that he said, he's like, I'm not going to be strong enough to do that. And questioning whether or not that makes him not good enough to be Spider-Man. And, yeah, it's rough. Norman then sends Ross after Otto because Otto violated the Sokovia Accords, right? So what better reason to bring him down? Sends General Ross, or Secretary Ross at this point, after him. During the raid, Otto's arms are finally shown. The Oct arms, the octopus arms, right? They're attacking, but they're not yet connected to him. They're just like on their own little thing attacking the soldiers. Iron Man shows up, and Octavius is arrested. I like the little Iron Man cameo, especially since it like looked like RDJ. It looked like him. It sounded like him. It was that version of Tony Stark, right? Like, that was fun to see. I also love that he didn't take up a whole episode or a big portion of an episode like Daredevil did. I think Daredevil, it's more important to like focus on these characters here, especially when we're doing street level stuff like Spider-Man, Daredevil. I think that's important. But also because we've seen so much of Iron Man, like he's had so much of the spotlight over the past 15 years. Let's give them a little less time on screen and these street level characters a little more time on screen. That's what I like. The street level characters are my favorite anyway, right? They're like the ones who have more melee action, more hand to hand, more gun to gun, sword to sword, like fighting crime in the streets. That's what I like. That's why I like Batman, Daredevil, Spider-Man, Punisher is one of my favorites. Like that is the characters that I love the most. One of the reasons I love Captain America as much as I do is because of how grounded the stories can be, especially like the films, right? The first two films especially, very, very grounded, and I love that. Anyway, so Otto is taken in. Peter and Pearl are working on their science project, and Lonnie shows up and reveals that the 110th Street Gang are going after the Scorpions. Like, they're going to go hunt them down, and that he wants to see things through. And Pearl, my daughter and I were talking about this. My daughter says, oh yeah, she was like trying to tell me about stuff that happened in the episode. We were just discussing it, and she goes, and then Pearl broke up with Lonnie, and I was like, did she break up with him, or did she give him an ultimatum and he made the choice to leave her? I feel like that's what he did. I mean, she basically said, it's them or me, and he went, it's them. It's them, which sucks. That really sucks, because at this point, I don't feel like he's doing it to protect his family. Now it's like a sense of honor. Like, he feels like he's part of this gang, and he can't let them down. And that's, I don't know, man, slippery slope for Lonnie. Yeah, definitely getting a little worried about him. But Peter also begs Lonnie, like, not to go back, but there's no stopping Lonnie at this point. Tombstone is digging his own grave, so to speak. And so we get another talk between Peter and Norman Osborn, and he tells him, you got to stop holding back. You got to embrace all of your power, every bit of it, right? You need to command respect. And, like, this is not Peter's language. This is not the type of hero he wants to be or envision himself being. And then we get a twist on the great power, great responsibility line, where Norman utters, with great power comes great respect, right? It's all about power and respect. If you have the power, you'll get the respect. When people respect you, you have power. And it's just man, changing that one word changes everything about this line, right? Like, doesn't that change the entire meaning behind it? With great power comes great respect. Like, and you could turn that in a good way too. You could say, like, if you have great power, there's great respect there, or that if you are well respected, there's a lot of power in that. It doesn't sound as bad, but we were talking about, like, when you have great power, you need to command the respect of people, and through, by any means necessary, basically what he's saying is through violence, right? You got to make people afraid of you, and that's just not Peter's way. So the 110th meet with the Chameleon, who points them in the direction of Otto's gear, because Otto's locked up. They still need, weapons for this fight, and the Chameleon, which I'm guessing we'll probably see more of in the next 2 episodes, maybe it's just a quick cameo, which works for me too, because I don't need every hero to have a major part in this series, right? It's cool to see them show up, let you know they're a part of this world, without having them be a big part of the plot. So if he stays just the guy who pointed them in the right direction, I'm cool with that. I'm 100% on board with that. Finally, we get, Peter's still dealing with this, like, not sure that he's strong enough to be Spider-Man, not sure if this is what he wants or how he wants to go about it. Just doesn't think that's him, the person who, has all this power and wants to command the respect of people and scare criminals, right? Like, that's not really what he's trying to do. He's trying to help people. He's not trying to hurt bad guys necessarily. He's trying to help the good ones. And it seems like Harry is on board with this. He knows his dad's kind of a piece of shit, and he's like, Peter, look, what Spider-Man needs to be strong enough, like whatever Spider-Man is up to you. Like, you are Spider-Man. You get to decide what you are, how you're going to be, and what mantras you want to espouse, like what you want to stand for, right? And not even my dad or anyone else can tell you otherwise. And this, and then in the final scene, Harry reveals that he's been working on a little something in the background as well, which is kind of crazy. I didn't know Harry had the same mind as his father, or abilities, but apparently he's been working on a costume for Peter, and we only get the reflection of it in Peter's eye or whatever, or in the glass, but it's the classic, Spider-Man costume that Pete designed in his notebooks early on in the series. And my daughter and I, we've been waiting for this. Like, we've been talking about, I think eventually he'll eventually get, the classic Spider-Man costume. And secretly, her and I are hoping that he gets the little webbing in the armpits as well, because we don't get to see that often, but that was like the original, Jack Kirby, Stan Lee Spider-Man. He had the little webbed armpits, right? And I would love to see that. I would love to see that happen. And maybe that works for him. Like, he almost has a flying squirrel suit at times when he needs to glide a little bit. That would be cool. I don't know if it was ever used that way, like in comics. It was just kind of a aesthetic thing, right? Cosmetic thing on the suit. But it would be cool to see that actually used, in a way, like in a practical way in a battle or something. Anyway, yeah. Great episode. Once again, leading me to be really excited for next week. All right, my friends, there you have it. That is going to do it for my thoughts this week of the final episode of this week, episode 8 of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. As I said, really excited for the finale here coming up. The final 2 episodes drop in 2 days. I can't wait. I'm excited for it. Like, I find ways to watch this at work, right? I'm a truck driver, and I have like downtime throughout the day, and so I watch them the day they come out if possible. Like sometimes, minutes after they come out. They come out here on the East Coast at like 3 in the morning, so a lot of times I'm already at work and able to be at a stop or something like that and watch the episodes as they come out. It's been this way since basically since Disney Plus started. I've been able to watch a lot of stuff like that, like at work, early morning, as soon as they drop. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, the late shift does suck, or the early shift, however you want to look at it. But it does have its benefits as well. And the way they benefit my fandom is probably the top benefit that it gives me. Anyway, yeah. Thoroughly happy with this series. Always curious to hear what you guys think of the latest episode. Hit me up at RealBrettScott on social media, or you can reach out at marvelpluspodcast@gmail.com if you want to leave me some commentary there, or if you want to be a guest on the podcast. I always love having new guests. I know I have a lot of recurring guests, but I'm always on the lookout for brand new people that want to come on here and share their thoughts on the latest MCU projects. So please reach out. Please do that. It's not like it's not a hard process to get on here, man. Like, I love talking to all comers. So if you have an opinion, you qualify. Let me know. Reach out. marvelpluspodcast@gmail.com. And yeah, if you want extra bonus stuff, video versions of the episodes, go check out the Marvel Plus Patreon page. Just patreon.com/marvelplus. What else? Rate and review the podcast, please. That does help the podcast to grow. Over on Spotify, you can give it a 5-star rating. Over on Apple, what is it called? Apple Podcasts. You can leave a written review as well. So if you leave a written review, I'll read that here on the podcast too. It's one of my favorite things to do. But yeah, wherever you can, rate and review the podcast, please. Share your kind words or your criticisms or what have you. Whatever you want to say, however you want to rate does help the algorithm. It does bring more eyes and ears to the podcast, so I appreciate your input no matter what. And if you don't feel like sharing your thoughts publicly, as I said, you can always reach out on social media and just talk to me personally at RealBrettScott, or at the email that I've given like 600 times. Yeah, that's going to do it for this week. Thank you guys so much. As always, my name is Brett Scott, and this has been Marvel Plus.